is higher than it used to be for a gallon of fuel. During our time, the gallon of fuel was about 14 cedi. Today, a liter is about 15 point something cedi. The Gold for Oil program, our checks indicate that it's causing serious financial loss to the state. As if that is not enough, the exchange rate is depreciating. As if that is also not enough, fuel prices keep going up. Last week it went up, this week it's gone up. This will certainly impact inflation, it will impact productivity, and it will make the cost of living high. And it's all because of the exchange rate. And so clearly, government has lost it. Government is unable to handle the exchange rate. And I think that the managers of the economy ought to sit up and do what is right and proper. Whilst the Bank of Ghana is spending millions of cedis and dollars on the Gold for Oil program, the currency is not stabilizing. The cedi is depreciating, fuel prices are going up, cost of living is going up, and everybody is suffering. But worst of all, wages and salaries are stagnating. Wages and salaries are not going up. And so, hitherto, under President Mahama, whilst you could buy 2 bags of rice with your minimum wage, today you cannot even buy 1 bag of rice with your minimum wage. The managers of the economy have lost it. And I think that Dr. Bawumia, instead of calling for a debate, he should rather spend some time to concentrate on managing the economy. Because the cost of living is going through the roof. We cannot continue like that.
The cost of living is going through the roof. Sema anu dimpa yi timemufo e wokro mu ha no ye komu ebu ene ukọ eyedwaman so a fuel prices ekosoro Ghana for etwajajo chese Ghana for esu na mensemre no ye wo eye openi ba ko wa ha ye ne ba bedi nkomo afa eye fuel prices a akosoro wakwadre mu yi pa obema ye kire mu yi eye Mr. Derek Emmanuel okese
Krapenye.
Apo mo e.
Na mi adom na say.
Boko eja His Excellency suna.
Honorable Desmond.
Honorable Desmond. Honorable
research and policy analyst. The post so
research and policy analyst. Institute of Energy Securities. Onye mamo hwe size no de tia the modu papa yi. Oye heavy. Bibia boko.
Na mi adom.
Efie.
Anya da sorry there. Let's say
na Ghana na montu o te say I mean ye brosumi mu pe a ye wura no nema te say
say ne summary ni nyina ye cost of living and inti say obeda sorry so obedidi undidi obekọ school bekọ aba obekọ adwuma onko adwuma ni nyina ye summary ni ye cost of living and inti what is ingredients to the cost of living and then I was so here uhwe and your inflation, your purchasing power. Let's say a mouseka, okojuma, it me tonyoma. Obviously, my take home cannot take me home. And it's a busumi, so I say, Chiaoka, Sena, it me to, no ma send it me to now, utmi that's or utmi your rent, utmi your hospital bills, school fees, can you buy things? So, your transportation fares, what has happened to it? So, cumulatively, that's amounts your cost of living. And in any time, your cost of living goes up beyond and it's the aim of policymakers and as a government, and then it's you'll be able to stabilize and make sure that the cost of living is maybe at either reducing or a bit stabilized. But when it continues to go up there, then it's that is the summary of it.
As I mean, Chima and the top system in my heading. System
in more because because it's not easy. Trust you me, especially the young or the youthful people, it's quite not easy coping with these excruciating hardships. Every 2 weeks you continue to hear fuel prices going up. And one thing that influences the price of goods and services in Ghana is fuel pricing, because it has a lot of direct and indirect effects, whether on production, whether on productivity or individual lives and livelihood. It affects it. This place as a media house, for instance, would like to go off. You want to make use of the alternative. The alternative is to either power your power plant or your generator.
Right.
You buy fuel.
Yeah.
Now the fuel price has gone up, and so if the fuel price goes up, now so cut off fuel at the good generator, your cost of production will go up. And when your cost of production goes up, the best you can do is either you pass on the cost to the consumer or you bear the cost. Now you only bear the cost if you realize the economists will say if the consumer's need is inelastic. So what must say? If the consumers need this elastic, I say consumer can go and do with alternative. Let's say you can switch off your channel. Let's say now when it happens that way, will you continue to keep your staff and answer because someone say if you're watching and so these are the challenges that businesses occur. If you're a manufacturing company or a producing company, you face the same kind of thing. Now me as an ordinary person, say me kofa can here too fan go boom. Now transport person ya tuma. If you don't take, I'll make use of an alternative. The alternative menante. Me konante na me could do it later. It will impact on my productivity. And so it has a lot of cascading effects and summary of it is just the cost of living.
Right. I was here play na yet to know. Play na yet to know. Ain't no Jebre the tea a young como fuel prices are costly. Yashasia nessa ko. Ain't no Jebre. Nama phone so na mrepemno also be frɛ na also the one di sema bana Derek Wahe na we anuama na wa cheche kwan a e be fa so dia boy ho bra abra nyema ekɔ bone sara me meka no Derek ma me misa wo last week ya to fuel mu fuel prices na ya tutum na akoyese sabio insuo bi a ye nom akoyese na mo bi a ye tu a ye ntimamfo no ntiase e ba ne sɛ ne ye duru hanum sei.
Okay, Mameda Sibium. Say fuel prices there. Normally, 3 major factors, and we take into account when we want to decide whether fuel price will go up or down, and I say to remain stable. The first factor near international prices. Ghana is also an importing petroleum product, so we import them, and so when you go and import those refined products, we do not have control over that market, and so the economists will tell you that we are price takers. A bonnet be mound and one will be soon because only anything you can do about it, you don't have any control. And they give it to us at the international prices. Okay. Now those international prices that we do not have control over, we also import them into the country. And so anything that happens on the international level affects us. Now on the international level, it is the forces of demand and supply. And so if you take your mind back around COVID period, there was a lot of supply, but businesses were under lockdown. And so the demand for it was low. And so when demand is lower than supply, what happens? There's excess. That excess will force prices to come down. And it's on the international market, when prices goes up or come down, these are the forces of demand and supply. The other factor on the international market is the geopolitics. And there are a lot of political terrains and styles. And if you see an oil, maybe exporting country, they see it as their significant level of contribution to the world economy. And they hold on to that to determine certain things. And so let's take it that if it is Ghana that has a lot of oil, and we give, say, Togo, let me give a proper example, electricity. We export electricity to Togo. And so if maybe Togo and Ghana is having an issue, it can decide to say, you know what, if you do not tow this line, I won't give you electricity. And so because of that matter, they can choose to increase it or maybe even abort exporting electricity to you. So they have economic power. And so that is what happens on international level between the oil exporting countries. If you take the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia produced a lot of oil to the world economy. And so they use that one as their economic power and then decide a lot of things. So that is on international level. The second factor is the exchange rate. The exchange rate comes in because we are going to import those refined petroleum products into the country. Now going to import them, you don't need cedi. You don't need maybe safer. You need the dollar. And so you have to find out what is the relation between your cedi and the dollar. Now, over the period, the cedi has not been that stabilized. It has always been depreciating. And so anytime the cedi depreciates, it puts extra burden on the BDCs to import or bring the refined petroleum products into the economy. So that is the second factor. Now, the third factor is the taxes and margins in the price build-up. And so if you take the price build-up, if you go to MPA website right now, just look at the price build-up, you see a lot of almost 12 to 13 different taxes and margins in the price build-up. And some of them is the sanitation and pollution levy. I'm sure you've heard of it. We've also heard of the price stabilization and recovery levy. And we've heard about the special petroleum tax, the energy debt levy, energy debt recovery levy, and a whole lot of other things. And so each of them has some persuades that add up to the price build-up. So anytime the government wants to reduce prices, it can either abolish some of the taxes or reduce some of the margins or even add onto it. Now, the government also finds the petroleum sector as an easy way to put taxes because that sector do not have any substitute. Right. So if you're a government and you want to raise money quickly, put it on a good that do not have a substitute. So those say you have an inelastic demand, you can't do away with it. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, you have to consume it. And so you see them going to put a lot of taxes on these petroleum products because there's no substitute for it. Yeah. And so these are the three major factors that account for whether price will go up or down or it will stabilize. Now, if you look at it, you want to find out that from 2016 till now, 2016, a gallon of fuel, that is like 4.5 liters, was selling around 16 Ghana cedis maximum.
That's a gallon?
That's a gallon, so 4.5 liters. Now, in 2024, July 2nd pricing window, a gallon is selling around 70 Ghana cedis. And so that is like over 300 percentage points. Almost, let me say, 350 percentage points. So 16 Ghana cedis to 70 Ghana cedis. That is over 350 percentage points. So you want to find out whether your salary, whether your income has increased by 350 percentage points. And so if it has not been able to increase by that quantum, then you should know that your cost of living is very high. You will not be able to cope with it. And so a gallon of fuel is now selling around 70 Ghana cedis. So how will you be able to cope with it? Now the policy of government is that they want to stabilize petroleum prices because they know it has a lot of cascading effect. And so under the government, you want to believe that they've not been able to keep up to that policy or promise because a gallon in 2016 is more or less like a liter today. And so how do you cope with it? And so these are the three major factors that affect fuel prices. So for the past pricing windows, let me give you an example. Like for the month of June, on the international market, prices were falling. And so what is the implication of it? It was supposed to reflect at the various pumps that we will go and buy fuel, and then they will say, like, oh, this week our prices of fuel prices have come down. So we need to be having this discussion. But during that same period, the cedi was depreciating at a faster rate. And so if your international market prices are coming down and your cedi is depreciating, there's no way the importer will want to be like a Father Christmas and say that you, for Ghanaians, I have a lot of sympathy on you, so for that matter, I will not increase prices. No, other than that, they will not be able to bring back, maybe into the country, the next batch of petroleum products. So these are the challenges. So what do government do? You, the government, you have to make sure there are policies that will help the importer so that they will not pass on those, even if there's any reduction, they give it to the consumer and not the other way around. But they need dollars. The dollars are not available. Monthly basis, they need like almost $450 million. The Bank of Ghana makes an allocation of 120 to them. And so that 120 million, that is just like 30% of the total amount of dollars of forex that they need to bring a total refined petroleum products in the country. And so the rest of the 70%, they have to go and source it from black market. You also, we know what happens at the black market. Higher rates. Yeah. And so when you go and get the higher rates, what will happen? It will translate into what happens at the pumps.
But Derek, in some okay, you know, besides chrome higher oil. So why all these long process of getting oil from the outside market?
And so your oil, just that the air it cannot, it's not enough for the national consumption. But there's a percentage and bit more bois. In Tankayo oil, what we do is say you make use of the state refinery. That is a Temaoi refinery. And in Tankayo, the Kohonoma, Ube refinery, you will get all the byproducts, whether it's petrol, diesel, the gas, or the bitumen, and a whole lot of other things. But you see, it has been lying idle. The capacity of the Temaoi refinery is 90,000 barrels per day. That is how much they can refine.
90,000 barrels per day.
Yes, and so you hear about the refined petroleum hub, Ghana being the petroleum hub. The idea is that almost all those in the sub-region, West Africa, they'll bring their fuel to Ghana, refine here, and take it back. And so you need to expand from the 90,000 barrels per day to maybe 150,000 or to 200,000 barrels, so that you cannot compete with Nigeria, Dangote, and Co. But right now, we are not making use of it. It's been lying idle. there has been several management today, a new board tomorrow, a new management.
Formation of boards in Kwan.
Plenty. So if you look at it from like almost 2017 till now, you've had almost 6 different managers of Tamale Refinery.
And it's not active. It's
not active. It's been lying idle. There's nothing of it. What you have to find out, what is the economic benefit of having your own refinery? One, it will stabilize your currency. Because you don't need dollar to go and import things from Tamale Refinery. You need cedi.
Yeah.
Now, those who are coming from other countries to come and import things here, they will need the cedi.
Yeah.
And when they need the cedi, your cedi now strengthens up. When it strengthens up, you're able to do a lot of things. Now, people also get job to do. It also brings you taxes as government. So you make a lot of money.
Right.
But it has been lying idle. We are not making use of it. And so we now import the refined one. Assuming even Tamale Refinery gives us half percentage of the total consumption. What happens to the rest? You just go import something little.
Yeah.
And so that one, you have some energy security. It strengthens your market. And so when we talk about energy security, it is about where you know that at any point in time, even if there is any economic issue, you still have fuel to depend on. Today, let Ghana or the world economy shut down, and Ghana will not have fuel for the next 3 weeks. You will last probably just 1 week, that's all. Because BOST, which is the strategic reserve for the government, that keeps stocks for on behalf of you and I, do not have any stock. So their tank farms are rather rented out to private companies for storage of petroleum products. You get the point? Then they take rental fees for it. Meanwhile, we pay BOST margin. If you check the price build up, you see that there's something called BOST margin. That BOST margin is supposed to make BOST operational efficient and to maybe keep strategic reserves, expand their tank farms. But what is happening?
What is this thing about gold for oil, which, to all intents and purposes, was anchor, a timmy, a deep pressure, and a buffer with regards to the foreign reserve, and I said, be able to strengthen in Sikano. Na so na yen sheda like yebenya, I mean, oil no be bree. Say be boa. Abe supported yet no. So
the good for oil policy, basically is to strengthen the city because as I said, your major 2 issues, international market prices and then sikasem, that's the forex. Now we do not have control over what happens on international market. What we have control over is currency. So there is always a higher demand for the forex. That's what the BDCs will use to import these petroleum products. Now they need monthly basis $450 million. Bank of Ghana is just able to give them $120 million or $100 million. So the excess pressure So the goal for oil policy is to shore up the foreign reserves so that we will have enough forex there so that there wouldn't be that continuous or monthly demand for the $450 million. Now the idea is also like a future market where you have to peg or hedge your prices for maybe the next 3 months or the next 6 months so that even if on the international market prices goes up, you don't get affected that well. And so assuming that maybe in January on the international market, maybe it was say $75 per barrel. And today it's at $90 per barrel. At that January time, you can peg it and buy for the next 6 months at maybe say $85 per barrel. So even if prices change within that period, you are not impacted, you don't feel it. You get the point? That is the whole idea. So shore up the cedi and make sure that you're able to buy in futures so that you just release it onto the market. Then that can stabilize the petroleum prices at the various pumps. But you have to find out, the aim is to stabilize prices. Has it been able to stabilize prices?
And that's exactly what I mean.
So if it has not been able to stabilize prices, that means that the policy has not been effective. Because you have to find out when was it introduced. And then up to now, what has become the impact of it? As at the time it was introduced, it wasn't, prices were moving around $17 to $18 per barrel.
Exactly.
Per liter. Now today, it's still around 15 Ghana cedis. Even the Bank of Ghana said they want to even abolish or maybe stop the good for oil policy and look for an alternative. So that alternative is that they are going back to where they have to auction dollars. And so for the month of May, they auctioned almost $120 million. And so there's still that excess, that demand that they need to be able to keep up with it. But even the good for oil policy is not a long-term measure. It is something that got to do with a short-term. So the short term is that you are facing a short challenge. So you have to do something like a reactionary thing to be able to make sure that prices are being stabilized. So when they were implementing the gold for oil, they needed to look within the internal measures that can be brought on board to be able to ensure that prices are stabilized. Now, those internal measures is that you make the Maui refinery operational.
Yeah.
Now, that is not been achieved. But let them expand their tank farms so that they can store enough reserves. As at this time, probably things are not good. Bring them onto the market. So if you bought them at, say, $70 per barrel, $80 per barrel, and today is going above that, bring what you have as stored, bring onto the market, then the ordinary consumer can be happy. Because the consumer do not have control over anything happens. They don't have, because if you don't want to use fuel right now, what will you do?
Yeah.
If your light goes off today, and you don't want to use you don't want to use your maybe generator, you have to shut down. And when you shut down, will you get anything? You won't get anything. So there's no alternative for it. The only alternative in the petroleum sector is LPG. So if you don't want to use LPG, go and use charcoal.
And it's expensive now.
Go and use firewood. And aside it being expensive, it has a lot of, it's not environmentally friendly. Not at all. You know the issues about climate change and other things. And so land degradation, they are cutting a lot of trees and all other things. And so it's not a good thing. And so as a policy, you want to make use of LPG that is a bit cleaner, environmentally friendly. But what happens if you have LPG now? Skyrocketing prices. And so people are looking for the alternative. So the charcoal and coal, they are cutting a lot of trees. And so we are always complaining every day. And the policymakers know all these things, but I don't know whether it is just to sit down and look for.
Do you think this government has handled these energy issues in the right direction? I mean, have they?
To be very
looking at the ordinary
simplistic,
Ghanaian, if you move by the complaints, the hardship when it comes to transport and then fuel issues.
to be very simplistic, I would want to look at factors. And so when I want to make that conclusion, I'll compare certain things. And so I've lived in Ghana all my life, so I experienced what happened before 2016. And so a new government came on board. So I've been by and the policies in this Buama no stabilized. And from 2016, na no moment to say. And then American share. Na medical compare okay, sisi na me woman no. Sisi no man so saying. And so 2016, na me talk full saying. That's why I say na me talk gallon, almost 16 Ghana cedis. Today me talk gallon for 70 Ghana. In nominal terms, over 42 or 48 Ghana cedis, that is not an easy thing. So like almost times 3 and our cost row. Mr. Misika Samana and corner my salary, Jina, and a transport fare. Say, be now come Medina to Pongula. Then what to say? It do almost 70 pesos, 50 pesos in Cordoba. They say almost 4 cedi, 50 Ghana cedis. And the Okwana so buy. So when you look at these two factors, I'll say, okay, and so far as I want to make my system easier and I say of less cheaper than it used to be 2016, then it means that you've not achieved that policy. You get the point? Then the second part of it is the petroleum sector, the muso. And so that is the first sector. The energy sector, no, the second one here, power sector. And I'm looking at it this way, is okay, before 2016, Ghana encountered a lot of challenges in the power sector, keeping up the lights on every day. Then we were bringing up a lot of generating capacities. And it's a bomb to me increasing generation capacity. I might do it because I say you excess capacity. It's that one to say because you excess capacity because the dependable capacity is offer a thermal plant in a hydrocarbon. You almost dependable capacity of 4,800 megawatts on daily basis. Now that 4,800 megawatts on daily basis now, what they are able to generate today? Just 3,100 megawatts on average between January till now. 3,100 megawatts on average. And it is a shortfall of almost 600. That 600 now shortfall and they do so. And it's here my country say you will do so because there is a negative political connotation to do so. Sometimes I say, Obi and he said do so a bad thing. And it is a Mr. system will do so more. And in order to keep that secret truth, I'll tell you, oh, we are managing it. But the data do not bear them out. When you look at the data by Gridco, how much of power they generate on daily basis, in do that 3,750 megawatts. Because we know there be minute for Energy Commission's report for 2024. The projected say a peak demand. Na say Ghana ha obi use fango na equipo light na net de be kwa manone no. Okani nyina boma was 3,700 plus megawatts. Now they even stated say for December 2023 the whole Ghana the time a peak demand for 2023 na December 26th. And on 3,600 plus megawatts of power. To say you are generating at 3,100 megawatts on average. If I say average, it means that over generate to a year on average, you know, you are generating that amount of power. So it means that you've not been able to even meet up the peak demand for 2023, let alone the projection for 2024. And so if you tell me that you have solved the energy sector issues, which is power, then you need to tell me that your generating capacity is equal to our demand. So if it is your generation capacity, which is your supply, is not equal to your demand, there's no way you tell me that you've solved power issues. But that is the reality. The reality is that we are running a deficit system, and that deficit is what translates into the doom. So I compare the two. That okay, we buy now we need the capacity to generate power, and already a lot of thermal plants.
You better not wrap it up on me. But you might because
when it comes to our fuel, if it's you bet me afre and some na ye cano fuel a costro a hatimemufo or my way more a home como and a yedino. Inti would your friend number is 0302 771 0302 771 Now face 0202 115 445 now 053 197 1628 and yeah WhatsApp numbers are between me messages nafa fuel prices are cost renre ya to petrol a cost drivers are majebra motion mo frɛ na yeni nkomo Derek wa hedi em say obema mo nkyeremu yie na mo so monyam ho ntia se hu se de mo so mo betu ma no mo afa. What should the drivers do as these issues are cost?
And the consumers, you know, what kind of consumers they are then I'm looking at the Okoto Fango, no. And the Okoto Fango, they say it's a new bona coso. And into the Obit Macachin, I buy and say, me control. I don't have any substitute for it. And to who as government, you know, minutes over Boama, Amama sitting in my day, easy. To say a no mana coso, today I was here. The over control, which is the taxes and margins. No bit might be by the Afan, ye taxes need be free on them. And I be a margin so to be so. So it is 1 peso, 1 peso, 1 peso, to be brief freezer. In petroleum sector, no, 1 peso like millions. I tell you. Because when you buy 1 million liters of fuel, that's a 1 peso and that's why that is not small amount of money. That is like over 10,000 Ghana cedis. Is another point. And he said, "What it is 10 pesos is free." And I say, "Be taxes in the way you say where they were may suspended no." Price stabilization recovery levy. It didn't say stabilize the prices. And then so it means stabilize it and the whole day. Which must suspend the collection of it for a period of time. And the other ones are special petroleum tax levy. And no more buy in 2015. That na a German so no. Na fan go ball form. And the buyer say a bit to me above my budget no. As one I say. To say I know we are rather enjoying from windfall prices.
Okay.
A windfall match.
There's a call IT. You are the banner watching my mind. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Apomo. Yeah, so udini be bia friendly.
The capacity that's why housing.
Okay, yet you.
The patrol Kakao person can say. Oh yeah, most Ghana put you in the year. Now, how about the Ghana and Kakaya Tony? You can't on your culture. At the Manco, putting to follow and being your home because so we two could have
yeah.
I need to the other Ghana, you deny you time as a mentality in Casano. You will be a senka, Yedima. You Nanka make us oil mill send a Ghana based 2 points. You may the Konagana Queen, Yairano, opening Queen Yairano. Every day there will be a discussion by mentality. Ghana media say, Obedi President, a pure tobacco crowd, the Cohen cities. Make around the Babylon and the Nina Manai. Because in the form, I say,
okay. All right. Yes, no. And kakra, efa. That's a wajibra frey. This is from a frustrated some more can was a boba. Nana, one go as a miswa.
Tinameka win for prize now. Government to your budget say. I was said this year, me fango no, me nyano German so for maybe a $70 per barrel.
Right.
So your budget for $70 per barrel. Now say no, you turn at $85 per barrel. It means that when you have profit of almost $15 per barrel. And the win for price no. It's like I say, on expect to say you bit me tum sir and you tum German so. It's rather a benefit to the government.
Right. There's a caller. Hello. Oh, went to me and so. Right. Yankasa.
And the basa it increase the government's revenue. Government can on your free say obaka ton fango because you won't say it's export fango akro. Yes, export akra and say cotton a German so ye turn at prevailing prices. And it is a prices in the cost run is a boy in one way or the other. It is a boy no indirectly yes I cotton refine one no say ediba. And to bit may be a bit more sogana for us. Government has a leverage to be able to reduce those taxes and margins, and I say we abolish them completely. Yes, they have that control over it.
Right. Hello. Hello. Good morning. All right. You too. Yeah, Joso. Alasan you too.
And then driver near over short. Driver over short. Also, why everybody is also these are 300 Ghana a day. Now, about 300 Ghana a day. That's the producer not also to one a year. And now, I said now, and you know, a kind of say, you're more a crime. Now, traffic regulation on criminal. If you're going to do my some people do my more traffic rules, no more content them and Buana. The traffic my record, let you go to mana. If you're a show, and yet, Yana, almost you're there some more. I feel so I hear you go to our mouth. As a moment,
get you.
About the other petrol. 14 cedis a gallon. And a money. And then, only some petrol, 70 Ghana, and their papa. I know all my catcher, all the way at this year, oh, and I see a there on the Chicago. It was a way of what? I'm afraid they are there on this year. It's a Ghana a Catalonia. About to play one will Catalonia deal. And I'm always or 2 minutes, maybe I don't know. Yes, sir. Ghana 24 years. Ghana, Asante Ghana, almost Ghana. It's about or 2 for Ghana, I can find the addition. But to my name, Madam Martin.
That's Alasan. That's it.
And see,
it's a very critical.
Forward, yeah, a very sensitive issue. India grow because it has a lot of direct and indirect effects. And when you two fuel price and transport fares automatically is likely to go up. Next no maybe some of a car. And imagine I can make offer a bro, na my beton me dokunobi. Mbafaka. And me just me 2 transport firm and for that matter no. Said dokuno was some chichire 3 cities meton no there 4 cities and 5 Ghana cities. So me confirm money buyer me the car. And I'll factor all these ones into it. And I'll be also for car. Also for car obenante. obenante no kra no se obefa kai was a power on no beka say there be say ano me po amefa ka na e dey akofie. So the cascading effect is not an easy thing. And cumulatively no it increases the cost of living. And as youthful people, it's not something that you can easily bear up with. You can't do anything with it. But the government of the day has been voted into power to be able to bring up policies and programs that will make sure that the ordinary person enjoys a good standard of living. That is the policy aim of government.
So Mumame, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Udini be Afrifi. All right, it's you.
Because the cover a price and on the young Casaya Maya, a woman, young Casaya to me, or my Ghana. Idea as higher my partisan. The young Cassia say, Yenano, you party at a real a channel. You say you can correct the we are here. A basic thing they say before we make me idea about it. But yes, the case when we walk come correct, not be a party at area. Actually, and you can be a Nipano on your nothing so but yes,
yeah.
Now, if I call the young say, this is here, to fool me. So they say, have a possible a two or more air transport more. I can't anything and get PPP.
Oh, Mamma Fanny, they very regulate your mom.
The car will be a bonus could be and I'm saying, not to air transport meeting. About 50 as you are namely be You could tell your name, that's all you I guess I man, I wish you to a party or a canoe correct. My Kaiser to this thing. Senior in Yapama a day, I'm not dead at a can someone. If you're you, then let say, but I'm not the party so yes, Minka, but yes, you're what many of them were a very useful. At the moment, you come. You're my back, you have to check on mine, and you see it about you. I told them, yes, it's been on my own back on me. On the background of my party for party communicators. No, on my no. So what said about Ghana some more, Muka party. The other one on my party, and then what no Muka, and then the other one on mine. No, say, what by obey, say, let my baby say. Obi ya ebia you say at the corner ya enya yesu no no pamo awa on be the same thing when I capel no refer I am to be say enti on my be na ye tikiri kana for no mo ba ye no say no ba ye di ko wa nke ye ya ba to see here enti ke ba ba ko ana yeah, not people. I'm not gonna say, and then you're so abandoned you or more. I come here to say, oh, young woman, a year, some and young woman, no more to me. But what price I've been, what your part, who won't you, not going to say, maybe, but yes, some more of a cattle, but in some of the free of a cattle. Right. Mr. Woman, Nayan set on mine, Nayan set on mine, a year, and that's why you know, Madame Market,
right. Yes, that's a pass, Wajibre, Afre. Nana, you're monitor funny, your fire, no see. Your monitor.
And
so for you think that the gold for oil has failed?
No, it has failed. It has failed. It has failed. Because surprise, Anka. I heard Juma, Sanka say, Kasabi, I say a gallon of petrol, about 20 Ghana cedis, and about 15. And I meet Marcus, okay, and that's a very good thing. But I feel it, Quanes and Cosro, and I wouldn't say it has not been effective. That is why they say they want to even abolish it.
The purpose for it was to bring fuel prices,
stabilize fuel prices. Right. Stabilize fuel prices and bring forex so that the forex, because the BDC need only dollar. If you give them dollars today, at a cheaper rate, financial dollar where they are more at 2 cedis. Obama what to find go less than 20 Ghana cedis. But of course, it's only 2 cedis. Obama no 16, 17, 18. It is okonya 18 Ghana cedis. Na hono ofine enko adwuma. Onya for the Christmas or a business person. Maybe some of them even to get the dollar komunya bi. To get access to that dollar from even the black market kwano. Enye easy. The government have tried so many times to regulate forex. It's I say Bank of Ghana also ma post exchange rate or more social media bill. Omo post first and government say oh it's I'm 10 cedi and I'm 10.2, 10.5. But it's an 16 or no until some post it. Because it's not a good thing.
You have a notification pa.
It's a notification and baby article.
X say na ba pa ba say.
I did article because and yet want to mean so. Anything it's a very crucial thing. Yeah, say every 2 weeks biya no fango boy be kosoro. Fango boy kosoro.
Did you hear him say every 2 weeks biya na be kosoro?
No, every 2 weeks biya na fango ebeba. But send me kind you need control over what happens on the international market.
But me say inti Ghana ni nya hotoso se ana na ni na so say ye betum no nya hoboa.
It's the meet man catch Ghana for nyina say so that sorry. Now we say we sika sem no exchange rate no e kosoro na say cedi na depreciate there. Kai hu ni say dwama so ye ti so krampo a there's no way ye benya benefit of it. That's all.
Abusia openi Hache Derek Emmanuel nsem eno odi abegu ho nefa fuel price hikes a yedi ho nkomo no wa kire nsem bebri a kire yedi etia abane sa na mo science studio say aban ne betimi aye ho bibi enti de man ya asem sebe ne se eden na aban afa ho hyeden so sadwumadi a so yasene Malina Children's Haven koho na ne omo nkodi nsa woso endidwa na je ahoman ne from na afi ho so oni omo nkasa na de opese uye anamo opese otuni ama opese wotono okwa Malina Children's Haven Osaka 05016 72445 na 05016 eno ne omo number ofra unsa ebeka omo na oni omo edi nsa woso yakoya nim yebetwa ho sima yeba yede dwabo apomoden ebebre omo djumeku aso yasene eno so no Estelle Natural Clinic omo gbawe adjacent Chiefs Palace no okoho no ma yare bia how bia yare bia ya krankro yare bia akoye kotwa yare bia chese tete wabrabo ema wani enje e wabrabo a wobu ani wiase a wemu no okọ Estelle Natural Clinic onsa ebeka jibre my midin Afra the Voice yetwa ho sima yeba jabo apomudi
Malina Children's Haven ye. I had no bad time you're done about. I told about Niema. Your baby, your best share, your bed da, your the bed diagro, the Bamana Tumpo, then you never were Malina. Malina will crown your menina, Nana was so dear. Your 3 levels. Level 1, be waha. Level 2, a quaranta dianim papua fe. Level 3, wholesale. Do a store now penquara near Madia. Prabe Febi. Amalina shop a whole wager block factory. Afro for cra, a fena ye piano. Amalina Children's Haven. I know about a pebia tonebaniema.
For your friend Emilia Brobe, me the program so kokra bremo wo Ctv so some program yi ye futusem kwan a onipa de sani fa so di ne nyonko nipa bone ya to ne din okuku seku the talk show shiame ne entrance ye ntie nsem bi na ye hu kwan a ye befa so a ye ne onipa betena a ondi ye bone na ye nso ye ni ne bone shiame wo Ctv Saturdays 6 p.m. pepepe okuku seku onipa hu ampa.
walk the walk on every street. I wanna ball, I went through her to my feet. Hit every discotheque and ask it for me, yeah. I wanna party 8 days a week.
I promise you now. Everything gonna work out. Every tomorrow, no matter what go down. I promise you now. Gonna be sticking around. Every tomorrow, no matter what go down.
Abatuwa mreya senyaso enti amanefo ahyase ebapro obafo mepo esane monchemonka ibi betwitwa su esane ne okokuru mutinti ewie no me bedi won kasefo mutinti man titru a obese ne se yanto abama wo na wonya kwanya we wo manga na hyebre ni so adihunu akadontedie de se amamu mapom bigina ho bisa efimri santini empo afi apema hankro ediokuru yenu a wo hyase to aba nisusu aso pame ananya ompesua obusua eno makasa wa bana so emena sias to osia ba yeche ye bedi hu papa enunti na Ctv ahihye dwumadi a yato ne din de candidates ye beso ye behwehwe senkrofo kuya eba ba gye nsem to me nyina sa wo pra pa mra hye bedwe ana wo pra be ma pe ni ye bisa wo nsem ye kunu mani so ade kunu no mtimadwe wonu a pray ya wo sabate